I was saying to you boys yesterday that I was doing a bit of prep yesterday, and I was driving home, and I was thinking constantly about what you guys have been doing, sort of reach you've had. But then I went back one step and thought about, what's been the biggest factors when I felt like I've struggled with mental health, and I've felt like I've known people that have either successfully committed the act of suicide or whatever we're supposed to be calling it these days.
Yeah.
And that's not to sort of diminish it, but I know there's some clever word games that people play. But I also remembered there's a story about World War II planes, which I told you I was going to take a hard direct left turn, and you might know this one through your military days, but I remember it was World War II. They were trying to reduce bomber losses, so there was a load of planes coming back from missions, and they were like riddled with bullet holes. So all the engineers started analysing where those impacts had happened. They were identifying the areas that had taken most fire, and they were reinforcing them. So it made sense, like from the get go. So there was like areas of damage across like the wings, the fuselage, the tails, and all that sort of stuff. But then they brought in this statistician, which is a guy that specializes in statistics. Abraham Wald was his name. And he said that they were completely overlooking something that was abundantly obvious to him. That is, they were only studying the planes that came back. And the bullet holes that they were analyzing were actually evidence of damage that the aircraft could sustain and still survive the mission. So the real insight was like the absence of the data, and I promise there's a point to this. It's the planes that didn't return, the ones that were hit in places that made survival impossible. And that was the ones they should have been studying, but because he flipped it entirely, they realized there was a whole data set missing. Do you know what I mean? Where the fatal hits were happening.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be, it will either land flat as the start of our conversation, or it would hit, because I was like, when we're talking about mental health, the things we hear and the people that we speak to and what we understand comes from the people who have made it through.
Yeah.
We don't hear from the ones who didn't. Do you know what I mean? The ones who struggled and found a way out, the ones that can now articulate what they feel helped them. And we have those perspectives and language to reflect on.
Yeah.
But it's not the full picture, is it? The people that we never hear from are the ones we can't access. And I wonder if our understanding, but I don't know if we can ever solve for that. Do you know what I mean? How do we know that what we're hearing is right or wrong? Because we can be so uncertain about it. There's a space for what is the full depth of this. And you guys have been doing this so much more than me, but I don't know if any of that gives any kind of insight at all. Because when did you guys first start getting a real grip on this and thinking, how do we understand this better?
Yeah, I actually went to an incident in work, a suicide. And it wasn't until after the incident, during the incident, I thought it was just a normal RTC. Dealt with it as I did. Normally, the person sadly passed, and it wasn't until after the incident, the police were there and they said, "Oh, they think this is a suicide," and that was like a massive punch to my face all of a sudden. And I got a bit asphyxiated with why people commit suicide and what is, like you just said, what is going through their mind that last 24 hours, last hour, last 10 minutes, last minute up to that point. And I got really asphyxiated with it and started to sort of play on my mind, and I was having sort of nightmares, dreams about it. And I'd love to know just what went through their mind, what was going through their mind, like you said, Pete. So I can probably just know what we can say, what we can do, you know, if anything, during that period.
Because the people that we pull back from the brink are the success stories.
Yeah.
Where we're able to get there at the right moment, at the right time, and have that conversation and maybe make that intersection when they're on that. And I know suicide is the worst version of this conversation, and mental health spectrum is tremendous, and not all of them end in that fatal consequence. People can suffer in the messy middle for decades. Just because they're not having suicidal ideations doesn't mean they're not living suboptimally, doesn't mean they're not living with a constant cloud. Haven't got that black dog on them all the time. But the statistics are the ones that sometimes people focus on, and they go, and for some ungodly reason, which I don't know if you guys could give insight to today, is it seems to be more prevalent, in the first responder sector, and I would include, when I say frontline sector, the military within that, but then also within men.
Yeah.
It's massive.
74% of men, roughly. They commit suicide.
So we're winning in that as well.
Yeah. Men are surviving in
saying.
public. They're surviving in the public, men are, but they're dying in the private.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the military, the first responders, where we're there to protect, we're there to be strong, courageous, you know, go into that fire, go into that war zone, go and save that person. You can, they're very good at putting on that act. You know, they're trained to put on that act, trained to be professional, trained to be courageous, tough. When they get home, when they've got time by themselves, that's when they're dying.
Rumination.
And that's then when it's like that long-term health is then, you know, every day is chipping away at you slightly more.
Is it that it's hiding, or is it that they have a sense of purpose? And is this the difference? Because like when you just said a few things, so I'm going to like zoom in on rumination. I want to get onto that in a minute, but also this aspect of retirement. So there's two things happening at the same time there. One is the death of an identity. I am frontline. I am military. I am paramedic. I am firefighter. I am police officer. I am whatever. Do you know what I mean? Those individuals have built this professional avatar. Do you know what I mean? They've got a massive sense of purpose. They've got challenges. I mean, you guys like carrying the log as a physical manifestation of it. They put physical effort into something. They're doing some sort of action.
Yeah.
That helps them process their thoughts. And when that action kind of die, it's like have you heard of Ikigai? I heard you talking the other day. I think it was Liuli, because you were talking about Shirin-yoku or Shirin-yoku.
That was me.
You did social media.
Shinrin-yoku.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, forest bathing.
Forest bathing. I heard of that before, but have you heard of Ikigai? Because there's a book.
No.
So Ikigai is purpose, effectively. It's the reason to get up. It's like finding your life's meaning. It's movement, creation, direction. It's the project or purpose of your life. And when you find that, they call it, you know, sort of finding your Ikigai. And I think when people go into frontline sectors, they've found that sometimes for a lot of them. So like what you were saying about that death of identity. Ikigai. Yeah, it's
okay, sorry.
Yeah, India Kilo, India Golf, Alpha India. Ikigai. There's a great book of that same name.
Nice.
And it's do a thing on it, because I think finding someone to have that. I remember when they were trying to introduce medicine to like some Eastern place. It was like Japan or China or something like that. And they were like, oh, you need this antidepressant medication. Like that guy over there, he'd be perfect for it. And there was this guy that used to farm the fields, and his fucking leg blew up because he stood on an old mine and he blew his leg off. So he couldn't farm his field anymore. And he started going into depression. And instead of him just drifting off into the edge of society, the community decided to take his land off him, and they gave him a cow instead. And because he could milk a cow every day, and he became a farmer who milked cows, and that was his new purpose. And he wasn't depressed at all. But they wanted there was Western companies that wanted to give him loads of medication. So like,
dying.
Yeah, talk to me about that sense of purpose. Is something here about people finding a reason to get up in the morning? And I imagine that's only one thread of it, though.
Purpose for me is like one of the biggest drivers. We were chatting about off camera, but when I was struggling like mentally, and I shouldn't, like you say, I shouldn't be struggling. You know, I say this, but I was drinking, you know, with girls all the time, loads of friends, holidays. I had no, you know, I had no purpose, had no direction. Like, what am I focusing on? And I put myself into a bit of a hole. And then I started making music. And, you know, that just the focus of making music every day kind of gave me something to wake up for. And it gave me the focus so I wouldn't ruminate, get stuck in my default mode network and just keep overplaying things, overanalyzing. I was just focused on music, and that was it. And it really helped me. Like, is a massive driver.
Well, it's creativity, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, creativity is like the proper mechanism, or it's just an incredible one for rebuilding something that you're interested in, especially if you can share it with other people. like music or any kind of creativity. It's expression, it's processing, it's control, it's creating a new identity. I play the piano, I play this, I do that. Do you know what I mean? It's an outlet. It replaces bottling things up or destructive habits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you said, we said a minute ago again when we were off camera, like the amount of stuff that probably both of us do. But for me, you guys are sat in a beautiful man cave, and you said, "Oh, is this my man cave?" And I'm like, "No, this is kind of like my therapy." I just come in here and I've got multiple screens, and it allows me to just push energy into other things, like the wolves that are in my head. If I don't give them other shit to chase, then they'll just turn around and start eating me, as they have done, you know, in my early 20s, definitely, and then probably a little bit during the divorcey bits. But it's a bit like pushing a balloon underwater. It's going to pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't give it a healthy outlet.
Yeah.
So because this is obviously something you guys spend a lot of your time doing now.
Mm.
Has this, in a weird, like, not hypocrisy, but as in like a weird kind of irony, has having this purpose in doing what you do, you know, in
Yeah.
freedom and
Yeah.
fire, has that, is there an irony to that perhaps?
I don't know, Pete. For me, doing what myself and Warren been doing the last couple of years, I've felt the sort of happiest I've ever been, because when we feel we've helped someone, even a tiny little bit, just that little bit of weight off their shoulders, I feel amazing. And it's the best I've ever felt. And now I've been in the militaries and the Royal Marines, I've been in the fire service, done some great things, you know, great careers. But when I felt happiest and most best about myself is when I feel I might have helped someone mentally, or emotionally. And with the messages me, myself, and Warren are getting, just little things. You know, we're not counselors, we're not therapists.
Yeah.
We're just guys without clipboards, without
I'm going to diagnose it.
yeah, but we're just there, just for them to offload, just to talk.
Yeah.
For me, it feels the best. But going back a minute, you said about purpose and that lot. I think we're really lucky, like in the fire service, having these watches. So I got a great watch. And I suppose my safe place in work. I know that I can come off an incident and I can go on my hands and knees and cry and say, "Look, I'm really, really struggling." And they'll get that. I'm not going to get slagged off. I'm not going to get laughed at, pointed at. And that's my safe place. When you come out back in sort of Civvy Street is when you can't do that. And that's when it's hard. You said about retirements or off duty or guys are on call stations. That's when it's real tough, because in work you are safe. You know, as police, ambulance, military, you've got your comrades around you who know exactly what you've just been through, what you've just seen, and you can't describe that to anyone else. It's impossible. So people retire.
Do you think there's more vulnerabilities in police and paramedics, though, just to offer an alternative? Because I agree with you from a fire service perspective, because as a bare minimum, you're usually at least with 3 other firefighters. Whereas, like, my brother-in-law is paramedic, and he'll ride solo a lot of the time because of the type of stuff that he's a something team leader. So he only goes to the sexy ones, a bit like a station manager.
Yeah.
He'll only go to the sexual. And I also actually, you know, bring that back to station managers.
Yeah,
I think they're one of the most vulnerable spots
100%.
in the fire and
No
rescue
watch
service.
around them. They haven't got anyone to.
It's interesting that, Pete.
Half the time, we don't want you to turn up. When you do turn up, you're just going to tell us something stupid we already knew. And I love them. You know what I mean? I love them. But I've had a lot of my good friends. But it's like, and then they'll go and get back in their car on their own.
Yeah.
And likely either go straight to something else that's quite interesting, which is also fun to an extent, but they don't have that same level of dissipation. You know what I mean? They're not going back and having dinner together with a watch.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always welcome to, but they just tend not to.
No.
So I don't know if they're, I mean, this is my fucking ADHD opening up 27 tabs. Sorry, it's terrible to try and have a conversation with me at times, but like, those threads, because I see what you're saying, Lee, because like your work in the Marines as a you know, in the military, and then going into the fire service, you see a lot of that.
Yes.
Because it's very similar.
Yeah.
Except we're not overseas doing the stuff. I know you spent time in Afghan and stuff like that. We don't do that bit, but you've always kind of been as part of a team.
Yeah, 100%. So you say, as you say that, Pete, because with TRIM, with trauma-related management, which we have in a lot of fire services for after these incidents, our wellbeing lead, Susanna, she went to a CPD day, and this was police, ambulance and fire across the country. And they said most of ambulance and police actually go through the full TRIM process, Whereas fire service, hardly anyone does because they've got that watch. They've got that,
Yeah.
so they have to
Brotherhood,
talk.
sisterhood.
and
We're
not
still
promote.
box ticking a little bit. We're
Yeah.
kind of doing it,
Yeah.
but we're not doing it.
Where you are.
Kind of got the template
Right.
and made sure everyone did the course. But I think we say it's embedded, but when we say it's embedded, it's because everybody knows what trim means. I don't think it's embedded culturally as a support mechanism. My word's not yours, and feel free to push back. But like, I'm not sure we're living it. But the things that we're probably getting the outcomes of it, but by look, not by design.
Yeah.
In that we still are around teams that probably do a lot of that informally.
Yeah.
But that's by look. And if you don't have a team that's doing that, that's where people will fall through the gaps.
Yeah, it's getting the right people. And even we're doing really well. Trim's really come on leaps and bounds. Last couple of years, we're really pushing it. We're really sort of not pushing it, wrong words. We're getting it out there and that peer-to-peer
There's a
support.
focus on it.
Just letting everyone know
Yeah.
that it's there to be used, and not everyone's using it, but it's there, and just letting people know how to use it, why to use it, and it's there, ready after every incident. And perhaps that's all they need sometimes to know it's there.
Yeah. Because suppression
but when we-
can be a killer.
When we see the success of Freedom in the Fire, though, for me, there's an irony. And I'm pushing back as a compliment.
Yeah.
Like, the success of Freedom in the Fire, I think, sits on the fact that there is still an absence in places. Because if Trim was the utopian answer and it was so goddamn good, why are so many people reaching out to you guys? Which I know they are.
Yeah.
I know we
Reaching out,
sort of came
sitting
across
on
each other, but
benches.
it's one of those, when I start mentioning you guys, everybody seems to know who you are, and you've been doing a great amount of work for quite a period of time now. But if something else was already doing that, there would be no need.
Yeah, I hear
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
That's
right.
Because I'm saying it as a compliment. What you guys are doing is a very unique and very wonderful thing. I worry it's not replicable
No,
as much.
I think people, what me and Warren are doing is we're put our hands right up in the air and saying vulnerability is strength, and we'll tell.
Yeah.
Warren's a pro boxer, and we'll say, like, do you know what? We'll cry. We'll cry. We'll sit there and cry when things are tough. When open up, I'll tell you how I'm feeling. I'll tell you I'm upset. I'll tell you I'm struggling. So people are looking at me and Warren and thinking, well, them two guys can do it. Then yeah, I'm not going to get the mick taken out of me. I'm not going to.
Or it's not going to
labelled.
appear as weak.
Yeah.
Because you don't look weak. I'm not going to say I don't look weak, but you definitely don't look weak. So yeah, I think, like you said, with the Trim, it's like it's not that well known because the amount of people we do get reaching out, we've had like tons of people, and it's like it comes like sometimes on a Saturday night, like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, and then I get I just all we can do is try and be there for people. But yeah, there's a lot of people that need help out there, and more of us need to be, just encouraging people open up, offering safe spaces. So yeah, there's more we need to do, definitely. And yeah.
How do you balance that element of vulnerability being strength, Warren? Because you're a dangerous man. You know what I'm saying? You're a fucking elite boxer. You'd take my head off as soon as fucking look at me if you wanted to. But I think the true examples of strength, morality, humility is being a very capable, dangerous person and choosing not to use that. You know what I mean? I think we get wrapped up when people, and maybe I'm leaning too far into the fucking male toxicity, whatever we're calling it these days. But I look like a knuckle dragging fight. I look the same as Lee.
Yeah.
The typical lumpy meathead, bold, white. You could see me on the front of the Sun having been accused of something horrific.
Yeah.
Because it just matches, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But often the people that don't look that the most, Warren, you don't look necessarily a scary bloke. I'd trust you with my kids, but you're probably way more dangerous than myself or Lee.
Yeah.
How do you balance that in your head? Because again, you've gone through some rough bits. I know I've heard you share elements around your upbringing and your childhood and stuff like that. But you've also developed a tremendous muscle of self-discipline, and I wonder how much you've lent on that in the past. I know for me, it's been a real coping mechanism.
That's just purely based on the boxing. It's like all I started boxing for was so I could beat up my stepdad, who like put me through hell for like 12 years and, turned me into this like shell of a man. I was scared, of conflict. Went to boxing and started boxing at age of like 16. And all I wanted to do was be tough and like then inflict it on the world. And the moment I became more capable and I was like, oh, I'm getting punched in the head a lot of times a week and I'm hitting people, my anger levels just dropped. I wasn't angry at the world. I was just like, oh, I actually am really capable of hurting people, which means I don't want to. Now, like, if I saw my stepdad, which I haven't seen him for, like 18 years, all the pain he inflicted on me, he was just a broken man himself. And now I can get him back. I wouldn't want him. Like, I'd want to understand more than, so yeah, it's weird. Like Jordan Peterson says something about like, you need to have the capability to be dangerous. And then you learn to like tame that,
Yeah.
because all
A
three of
weak person exercising morality is not an impressive discipline because you couldn't fucking do anything even if you wanted
exactly.
to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's not, and that's when people try and suppress all of like boxing or martial arts or anything like that and say, it's unhealthy and it'll make children violent and it'll encourage them to start, knocking people's heads about in school. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
They don't have the capability. So it's not a virtue then being nice. They have to be nice because they don't know how to be dangerous or they're scared to, they don't have the capabilities.
Yeah. You want someone that's got teeth and doesn't use them.
Yeah.
Because also that makes for a safer, more empowered society. I say the same, like when people say money is evil, I'm like, well, I've had the ability to help members of my family and
The love of money
give my
is the root of
stepchildren
all evil.
cars. Yeah. They say man made money. Money made man mad is what they say.
Yeah.
But it is just a tool. And if you don't make yourself psychologically, financially, physically capable, you can't help anybody. Do you know what I mean? There's an irony that you need to get yourself to a position of strength to be able to help people. But that makes me worry all the more so when we, like in the fire service, we go into a lot of deprived socioeconomic communities, and it's like broken people trying to help other broken people at times. And I don't say that condescendingly. I just say like it's that self-perpetuating cycle. It's like the Matthew principle where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer because they're never going to fix that. Someone else needs to reach in and help them. And I think the same when people are struggling mental health as well. It's like they need to talk, they need to communicate, they need to get out. This, if you stay in your head, you're dead because you can't think your way out of a thinking problem. It's like trying to snort your way out of a cocaine addiction. You need to talk to someone. Action. The fucking magic.
Everything.
Action is the cure to anxiety. You just got to start rattling the cage. You've got to grab hold of the steering wheel. You've got to shunt something forwards and see what comes back. But people can feel so paralyzed, can't they?
Yeah, like you said, you can't think your way out. Like action solves everything in the sense that like taking action could be offloading to someone. It doesn't mean you got to go run up a mountain.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you've got to, sit there and meditate. It could be those things, but like just as long as you take action, take yourself out of rumination, do something unfamiliar, and disrupt the pattern that you're like running. So yeah, like action really, my friend said it to me years ago and I was like, oh, don't know about that. And I was like, oh, actually it does. Like, you can't just sit there and think your way out because all you do is you'll keep ruminating, manifest, and then it just make the problem bigger. So yeah, action solves everything.
Yeah, I find like finding your gratitude.
Massive.
And if you've got to lower that bar on gratitude, then lower it, and I use that. I take some of the benefits now. That's what I use to cope is some of the incidents we go to in work, how horrific they are. I then go home and find my gratitude and the everyday things. It's not always about doing 1,000 press ups, getting an ice bath, climbing a mountain. It's finding that gratitude and being happy with yourself. Like that person barged into you, not on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
When you go out somewhere, just being happy and finding the little things.
Gratitude for me is like the platform on where genuine happiness can live.
Yeah.
Like unless you're grateful, I try and find gratitude in like the small thing. I love a flat white, so we went out to.
Yeah.
I love going out and a lovely nice coffee. It's like the little thing, and it is a pleasure and it's a privilege to be able to just go and have a coffee and stuff. We're very lucky, and the moment we remember that how lucky we are, because there are so many unfortunate people out there, and like you said earlier, like, I wish I had the money to help everybody, but it's not gonna, happen right now, and it's not possible.
I think I hit about 4 before I walk out the bedroom door. First one is waking up
Yeah.
and just feeling my body isn't in constant pain, because I've certainly been in those. Like when you've got a health challenge, you've got one problem. You might have 1,000 problems, but when you've got a health problem, you've got one fucking problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your lower back hurts. No one remembers. I think it's called the hot cold empathy gap, where like when you're really hot, you can't remember what it was like to feel cold. When you're really cold, you can't remember. In the same way that you can't remember what it's like to have toothache until you've got toothache. Then nothing else matters at all. Nothing, or you've got an ear infection. So I wake up in the morning, I've got no pain. And I've had surgeries. I've torn my pec off. I've snapped my patella tendon off, bulging discs and fractured vertebrae. And I've had vascular vein surgery last year. In fact, last year on both my legs. So waking up without pain, banging. Do you know what I mean? I've got a beautiful woman lying in the bed next to me. Incredible. And she wants nothing to do but just kiss me when I wake up in the morning. And then I get to put on clean clothes. And you just think there for a minute and you go, you know what? Like a pretty short period of time ago, like 100 years ago, people did not just have nice, warm, clean clothes all the goddamn time. This hot running water shit is a relatively recent thing.
Yeah.
But
Jimmy Carr said that with the shower, didn't he? Hot shower. We are so privileged.
oh yeah.
We are so
Well,
privileged.
I remember a Tony Robbins one where he was like,
Love Tony Robbins.
he was on a flight. I went to his Unleash the Power Within just after I came out of addiction, like 12 years ago. No,
Quite nice.
wherever, longer than that ago. 14 years ago. Loved it. Walking the hot coals, all that jazz. I'm all that, baby.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyway, he was talking about the first time he had Wi-Fi on a plane, and they announced it like mid-flight.
Yeah.
And they were like, ladies and gentlemen, we have just secured Wi-Fi. It's just upgraded. We've just received the link. If everyone wants to try and log on, woo, everyone's cheering. Yeah.
Right.
Like 20 minutes later, they lost it. People were outraged. Goddamn
Oh, yeah.
outraged for something they never had.
Anyway,
Because it's this sense of
crazy.
privilege. You know what I mean? So, I mean, gratitude is probably a useful anchor when, I don't know, I mean, it'll be useful anchor for people at different levels, but for someone that is in the absolute moment of catastrophe, if I turn to them and go, hey, brother, do you have warm, dry clothes today? They're like, what the fuck, what are you on about, Pete?
Yeah.
What are you on about? I just told you I think I'm going to lose my job. My kids hate me. And I'm thinking about which bridge I'm choosing on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you guys are having these moments of crisis of people, I mean, I'm imagining we ain't leading in with vulnerability as strength. And I suppose I'm trying to tease some clue. And I know you guys are mental health professionals, but is there maybe a most powerful thing to be said in that? Do people wait to try and help people, or do they lean away from it because they feel they're not competent to do it?
Yeah, a lot of that. People are worried nowadays. You know, we often say in our things we're not counselors or therapists, but just being someone, just a listening ear, is all most people need, just to feel they're not alone. That's what they want, you know, just to know it. When you are like in the deepest, and you've said, Pete, you've been at Warren, when you feel like you're in your lowest moment, you do feel it's just you. You know, you look on social media, whatever, and
It's hard to feel gratitude when you're feeling
like you just
there
said.
as well.
So then, just like being that listening ear to them is what we do, and we just listen. That's all we do. We just sit there and listen. And now I try and say, look, try and pick 3 things that are good. And that is hard for some people, like you said, if they're losing their job, their kids, let's try and find 3 things. Some might have a dog that they love them, and they say, well, you know, that dog loves you more than anything, you know, that waggling tail when you come home. So
Dog thing's really rough, isn't it?
yeah,
Because I used to have 3 dogs. I had to give them up through the divorce thing. But because I could have tried to keep one of them, but I refused to be a crap dog owner. So he went back to his siblings, who were all military dogs, German Shepherd. And because I was like, he's going to live a way better life there. And you know what? He'll forget about me so fast.
Yeah.
I'll miss him all the
He'll
goddamn
remember
time.
you though as well. If you
Well,
saw him
he'll
again.
remember me when I show up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
not. We have this image of the dog whining at the door because he misses me and all this. As long as he's got
Yeah,
someone that's giving him some stimulation and walking him and feeding him.
yeah.
Um, because I also thought a lot about the whole 7-to-1 dog life rule. You know, like, well, were they at 7 years for them is a year for us,
Yeah,
isn't it? Dog
yeah,
lives.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it was some like other
So
analogy or something.
if
My bad.
no, wait, it kind of is an analogy to
I
an
know that
extent, but
7-year thing. Yeah,
well, yeah, but if you actually extrapolate that number out, if I'm away for a day, that's a week of my dog's life.
Ah, yeah.
yeah. It's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? Your dog is your best mate for an hour a day, half an hour. You're his best mate all the time.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
He is just sitting there waiting for you to come back to brighten up his world or her world. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not doing that thing where I just get a random dog sitter in the middle of the day and I'm on shift and I'm away for 13 hours. So I just felt like I couldn't do it. But anyway, yeah, I think when you said about just listening, I think that might be something I'd love to unfold that a bit more, because typically as people that are in our sector, we're trying to fix and solve and give answers. We're master problem solvers, aren't we? And I think there's a lot about our leadership development stuff, because I know the military do a lot more, and maybe you could speak to it probably far better, mate. But like, we don't do leadership development very well at the minute, in my words. I think we're good at building managers because we build so much of our stuff around command and control, right, and incident management and your proficiency on the incident ground and all that sort of stuff. But we don't coach people on, you know, active listening and paraphrasing and open questions and anything like this. I remember I've said it on the podcast before, but like interview training. Do they do interview training in your service?
I don't know, mate. I don't think so.
I don't know of it.
We haven't gone for promotion, me and Warren and myself. So
No, but like, have you ever participated in interviewing recruits or anything like that?
no,
Or do your different ranks?
no.
So I've done it before.
Yeah.
And then I was asked to do it again not so long ago. And they were like, oh, you've already done the interview training, haven't you? So you won't need to do it. And I said, well, I don't think I've done any interview training. They said, yeah, you did. We have checked your records. You did it like 6-7 years ago or whatever. I was like, what, that like 1 hour thing where they spoke to us about like how to ask a question or whatever. And I said, are you still doing the training now? Because I'm happily going it again. And they're like, no, it's more of a familiarization. And I said, but communication is a skill. I said, like, can anybody fail interview training? And they're like, no, it's more of, say it's an awareness session, you know, it's like a familiarization. I'm like, but being a good communicator is a rare skill and something that has to be, I've been trying to develop it, well, all my life, but certainly for the last 6-7 years whilst I've been doing this. And I still think I'm not great at it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
pretty good.
the ability.
I think you're pretty good.
No, I interrupt way too much. I'm terrible. But anyway, I'm like, people should be able to fail it, because if Lee or Warren comes for an interview and they've got me, so I could be high functioning autism. Okay. So which means I'm very intelligent, and I'm stereotyping high functioning autism here. Apologies. But like very intelligent, very good at maybe working by myself and systems and processes and all that sort of jazz. But I may not have the same level of emotional intelligence. I'm not saying that all people who suffer, but typically it doesn't pair itself together well with that skill set. But nonetheless, I could have achieved a very senior level in a first responder sector, like the police or the fire service or something like that. So we're going, okay, I'm an area commander and I'm going to do the interviews. You might be a terrible communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? that doesn't mean your rank makes you a manager. It's your behaviors that make you a leader. And there's probably someone that may be a better communicator with you, and they may very well just be a firefighter. You know what I mean? But we tend to pair these things, don't we? Because I don't think we develop it. We don't encourage it as a skill set.
The ability to, obviously it can be learned, but I think it's like it's just a natural thing. So when we sit on the bench and we listen to people, I'm a human being, and I want to help that person, so I'm going to let them talk, let them tell me some things. And like you said earlier about being like problem solvers, there are copious amounts of things we can do. So I do suggest, like cold water therapy. I do suggest meditating. I do suggest binaural beats if they're struggling with anxiety. But I do tell them because we're in fire kit, we do it in fire kit. We've done it in civvies before, but people trust us in the
Yeah.
fire kit more
Especially where we
over.
look, yeah.
So we got to be careful what we advise them. So I just say, listen, this is what I do, but you have to check with your GP or medical professional before partaking in cold water therapy or doing this.
Yeah, you got to put that
Because
caveat in there. haven't you?
listening is one thing, but also I'm happy to listen, but I'm also happy to give advice. Again, I have to let them know that they need to go check with their GP. I'm not a medical health professional, but I have listened to medical health professionals and they've told me about cold water therapy, about contrast therapy, about exercise, why it's good. And,
It's nothing that ChatGPT wouldn't tell them, but it's the
Yeah.
authenticity of it coming
Yeah.
from a human being, from a lived experience. And I think that
lived
element,
experience, yeah.
There's two types of
Yeah,
listening, isn't there, as well? There's listening,
Active listening.
when there's proper listening, taking it in and having that empathy. We can all listen, but are you actually caring? There's listening and caring. That's what me and Warren tend to try and do. We look them in the eyes, and they can try and show them
Yeah.
that we are care. We do
And
care.
you've got to care, but not be so empathetic that you take it home with you. Like in the moment when I'm chatting to these
Yeah.
people and when you're chatting to them, like, I don't take it home with me because in the past when I've spoke to a friend and helped him, I've been depressed for 3 months, or not depressed, on a low mood for 3 months. So I've learned to
Yeah.
manage my energy, and you do it really well as well, because it doesn't, when we chat on the benches, we just feel good after it. Whereas if we were so empathetic, it actually was detrimental to our own life, we wouldn't be saying it was,
Yeah.
we feel good. So
Yeah.
that's a skill.
Self-destructive empathy. You let people too far. Because
Yeah.
when some people are tearing some really, really serious stuff, I remember when I used to do coaching, like it's like going around someone's house and them saying, hey, I've got a serious problem down in the basement. And
Yeah.
then you got to descend down into that basement with them and absorb all of that with them. But then you need to extricate yourself and go back out and reintegrate with society.
You don't want to be in
so
the
you have to be
you don't want to be in
careful.
there.
No, they don't want to be in there. Do you know what
No.
I mean? So you're going down there and trying to, listen and seek to understand, and maybe offer some reframings, never necessarily solutions, but reframings or mechanisms or thought processes in which they can start to build some footholds to try and reassess. It's like they're taking a slide down there, and you know where the stairs are, but they've never seen the stairs.
Yeah, that's a
It's just
great
a fucking
analogy.
slide. You know what I mean? Always back down. And if you start approaching that riverbank with them, you could start slipping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, bang! You're in the rapids with them, and you're getting thrashed around. But that's very, very, very different. I mean, have you guys had any coaching on that? Because you clearly have a skill set for it. But what I don't want to do is lean heavily. I know, Warren, you're saying like people kind of have it and they have a natural skill for it. That can put up a barrier to people going, it's just not my skill set. I mean, I can't really help people. It's not really how I was sort of designed. I think there are elements of it that people can develop. I think what you said, Lee, is very much on the money around, because there are certain tactics, if you want, tactics is probably the wrong word, but strategies.
Yes.
The sincerely listening element of it is massive. Are you listening to understand, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? You know what I mean? Are you listening to respond? Or are you just like, it's just white noise now, I'm waiting to hit you with this zinger that I've been thinking of for the last 30 seconds while you've been waffling? You know what I mean? I'm going to hit you with this mic drop. And then it's almost like we're just performatively throwing beach balls back. You see it on podcasts a lot, actually. It's like they're bouncing a quote porn beach ball back and forth. And you're like, are you even fucking listening to what he just said?
Yeah.
Or were you just waiting to drop your Instagram quote?
Yeah. That does happen.
It makes for a jarring conversation otherwise, doesn't it? Because you're like, did you even listen to what that person just said? It's a bit like marriage, isn't it? It's like, do you want to be understood or do you want to be right?
Yeah.
Well, if you just want to be right, then you might get away with it quite a few times, and then you'll be the right guy who's single or the right girl that's single, because you've got to want to be understood, but you've more than anything got to seek to understand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I use it as when I was at my lowest point, my anxiety stroke depression wasn't linked to anything. I've been in the military, went to Afghan, in the fire service. Been in the fire service about 15 years at the time. And I was having massive sleeping problems. Don't know what it was. And that was then spiraling into me getting real bad anxiety and then feeling low, not eating, not gymming. And when I went to the doctors, they tried to sort of say it was PTSD possibly and this and that and stuff in the military, stuff in the fire. And it wasn't. It was none of that. I was having no flashbacks. I was having nothing. It was just general anxiety and a sleep-related problem. But I was on my hands and knees. I really was. I was begging to my wife, like crying, saying, "You got to help me. I'm having a breakdown." So I related that is like my breakdown at that point wasn't nothing in particular. It was just general life. It wasn't stuff I'd done in the military. It wasn't I had cancer. It wasn't that someone family member had passed. So I felt so low over no actual title to pick it. So when I listen to other people's stories, I feel that I had it from nothing. So everyone's story is something really, really big because I didn't have a story for mine. People expected me to say it was from Afghanistan. People expected me to say it was from trauma in the fire service. It wasn't. So I can really generally feel when they tell me their story, it hasn't got to be anything particularly massive or extraordinary or wow, you know?
You lived that.
So that when I listen, I can generally feel for them. Whereas other people would say, "What have you got to be depressed about? You got money. I was financially fine. I got a great wife. I got 2 amazing children. I had everything. So why am I depressed?" You know. So I can generally listen to them and feel it in my heart that when they are struggling, that it's true. And you haven't got to have that amazing story.
Do you think there's a finite gap in helping someone that's in that moment? Because when they start to feel low mood, whether it's a hormonal element, maybe we could get onto that in a minute, whether it's a lifestyle thing, whether it's a career thing, whether it's a change in family circumstances, different chapter of life, if they get used to that low hum of, we call it misery, call it low mood. I think it was who is the guy, Henry David Thoreau guy. It was like the most men lead lives of quiet desperation. And I wonder if that's a point where we just start to accept things are not fulfilling us anymore. And I wonder, just to come back to that point again, mate, is there a gap between people accepting feeling that way?
Yeah.
And then just going on, because we said before, you know, we hear the statistics of the suicides, but what we don't hear is the masses in the messy middle.
Yeah.
How many are there?
Men learn to function with it, especially in the fire service and that lot. They're able to turn up to work and be professional, function with this depression, anxiety. You know, they're able to put on this amazing act, but that is draining them every single day, and to the point where that bucket is too full that they can't cope. But it can take a long time, and gradual build up, because we're so good at masking it. We're so good at hiding it. You know, a couple of friends I know in the fire service go home and they are absolutely drained after a day in the fire service where they put this mask on and no one would know a difference. We're so good, men especially.
Masking. Yeah, we're so
you
good
can
at
function.
it.
We can function. We learn to function, and then
But when you say masking, I'm thinking of alcohol, substance abuse.
Yeah.
Is that what? So for masking,
There's different ways. Yeah, you can mask through substances.
How are they?
Well, usually mask a
competence.
substance. So you're talking about like a functioning addict. That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're masking that problem.
I'm asking, how do they? Because I don't know anyone in for me, or like people I speak to in the fire service, all on different watches, and how do they mask through competence of the job?
So
how would it look if
So
they weren't doing this job?
I masked in the fire service. I went off sick once with it. Yeah, I was diagnosed with, and I put on citalopram, put on SSRIs, you know, and I was on for about 5 years, and I masked it.
And I wonder what it looks like. So say they're not firefighters, just to go on this little tangent. I wonder if they weren't a firefighter, because that gives us purpose as well to help other people. And granted, it's a job, but we also do the job because we want to help people, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if they weren't doing the job, these people that you know, how it would look. Would that look like drinking a lot or getting
It can
addicted
be
to
a
stuff?
substance one. It
Yeah.
can be, I know, gaming. So gaming or gambling or over asserting yourself. One that actually shows up in two places that I'm aware of is when you over assert yourself on things.
Over.
So in the home, like if you're depressed, anxious, lacking a sense of control of your own cognition,
Yeah.
you can just assert yourself on everyone else around you. So you might become an over controlling parent. You might become an over controlling partner. And you see this show up in work as well, where people will just mask with work. So they'll be the person that's in too early, stays too late, is very domineering in their management or leadership approach, because staying busy is like the fucking meta fix. Do you know what I mean? And also that hero complex of let me sort your shit out, Warren, because your life's a bit of a fucking mess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
sort your. So you're really struggling. Why are you crap at work? Why are you behind on your CPD? You know, maybe we should drill 5 times a day. I think once a day is not enough because we need to be there. So maybe we should be doing 10 community fire safety visits every tour. Do you know what I mean? Because rumination and being, you said about rumination earlier. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yeah.
I love being alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being lonely, you can be
fucking
lonely
smash the hell
surrounded by
out.
people, can't you?
You could be lonely surrounded.
Yeah.
You can be lonely in a full room.
Yeah.
People that struggle the most are people that don't like, not people that struggle the most, people that can't be alone struggle a lot, I think. Because if you don't like yourself, you're going to find it hard to believe anybody else likes you.
Well, you have to love yourself. You have
Do you know
to.
what I mean?
That,
You
yeah.
have to love yourself.
100%.
Are you proud of yourselves? Do you feel proud of yourself?
Yes.
Either of you.
Yeah, I am. I have to tell myself.
Why?
What I've done.
What evidence do you have to feel proud of yourself? Why should you?
Because I feel I'm a good, in my head, I tell myself that I often have good thoughts. I generally want to help people. And I tell myself sometimes I must be a good person because I generally want to help people. So when I've messed up slightly,
Has it always felt that way for you?
No, 100% it hasn't. So I tell myself now when I've messed up, I've done something it may have come across a bit rude on a text message or a bit condescending or something. I then tell myself, do you know what? I generally am, my thoughts in my mind, I'm a good person.
Yeah, good
And I
intention.
generally want to help. Right, I've done the right thing. I can feel good about myself. I can sleep tonight because that is what I am. But I do have to tell myself that quite often.
Just self-talk's good, though.
Do you like
anyway.
yourself, Warren?
Do I like myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Would you buy you a drink?
I would, yeah.
I don't drink, but yeah.
I don't drink, yeah. But
I don't drink
So-
either, but you know.
yeah, so I do like myself because although we're not our thoughts, I act on the thoughts most of the time that are the positive ones. I genuinely want to give people my time to help them. I don't exercise my techniques or my power and abuse it like some sort of bully, you know. But so I like myself, but I'm never proud of myself.
Ooh.
And yeah, so when you said about it, I thought I let Lee answer, and I was like, my mate said like, "I'm proud of you," and I was like, yeah, and it doesn't really sit. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, anything that I achieve, I'm like, well, I've got the capability to do that anyway. I should have done it. Like, is everything? So I could go in, run a marathon. I'll be like, well, loads of people have ran marathons. I should be able to have got legs.
Yeah.
I've never been. So I've been writing a book for the last like 3 years, 3 months. I'm not counting. 3 years, 3 months, and it's the first thing that I'm proud of what we're doing now. I am proud of.
Oh, that's not fair because you're sharing that. It's like me saying, I'm proud of the team.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah, okay. Are
with
you
the
proud of you?
book, I'm proud of it,
Yeah.
and it just feels like I want to help people on like a big scale if I can.
The book's phenomenal. It really is. You should be proud of it. Yeah.
And that's the only thing. Like any accolades or me, if I knocked someone out, it's like, oh, I should have done it. It's like it's weird. I just don't, and I don't know where that
Do you
stems from.
think people should feel proud of themselves, Warren? Should they
Um,
aspire to that?
I'm proud of other people so maybe they should feel proud of
But that's a
themselves.
bit like giving a gift. Like people say, "Oh, you don't need to give me a gift." But part of giving the gift, the part of the happiness in giving it is being the person that gives the person a gift. And if you're
Mm.
not willing to accept a gift, it feels good to tell someone you're proud of them. But what would it take for you to? I know you say you're proud of the book, but that's like, you've externalized that pride because it's not you, it's the book. You know what I mean? I know I kind of wrote the book, but it's not me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's kind of like it's not the best bits of me. But
Mm.
like, you guys are absolutely smashing the shit out of it. If this is not enough, I'm not saying that you should be proud of yourself, but I'm just offering it as a thought exercise. Surely many of the things you said were going to make you happy or proud, you've already achieved them. I mean, you've been on national shows, you've helped hundreds of people with this, you've had accolades with boxing, you got into the fire service, you've overcome a difficult childhood. Would you be proud of you if you were your friend?
Yeah. Do you want
But
to
you're
tap
not proud of
into?
yourself.
But it's just like I should be doing this.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like, but the happiness thing, like without any of it, I'm happy in the sense of like, oh, I had to get there. Like I was struggling every day, and I didn't want to be here. And once I'm like managed to, you said about like being on your own. So I went to Prague on my own, right? Because I was going out all the time. I thought like a 4-night Prague stay on my own, scenery, drinking coffee, just walking around. And it's the first time I've been out away on my own. I was all surrounded by friends. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to really go on my phone. And it was one of the best holidays I've ever been on. So I was like, I actually enjoy being in my head. And I enjoy not talking all the time because I'm very talkative, and especially when I'm
Yeah.
around people, I feed off people's energy, and I'm like, but it was then I knew, oh, actually, I do like myself, and I'm not a bad person. I don't. I said these things earlier. I don't exercise I don't bully anyone. I try and make everyone feel good.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the happiness thing, you got to be happy without anything, without a car, without like a flashy car or like clothes, like.
Yeah.
And that comes, I believe, from gratitude. To circle back,
Mhm.
once we're grateful for the little things, anything's like, or what we were chatting about the chief, sorry to go on a tangent. It's like,
No.
it's a privilege to suffer. We carried the log up Penavan the other day. I'm in pain.
Mhm.
Ralph's in pain. And I said to myself out loud, it's a privilege that we get to feel this.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
more we say that, and then you program your brain to actually believe, oh, I'm privileged. The
Yeah.
more you're like, actually, I am.
Some people can't suffer on that mountain. They would love to be able to suffer on that mountain.
Yeah. And they can't. They've got
Mhm.
one day to live, or they've got like an illness, which means they,
Yeah.
they're disabled.
There's a guy that did a load of marathons on a treadmill. He was a military guy in America, wasn't he? And on the thing, he had it taped on him, like for those who can't or whatever, because
nice.
he was doing it. But there was a bunch of
Love that.
his colleagues that had sort of, life altering injuries or lost limbs or something like that. But I even relate it, because what I don't want to do is make that around it, because you're right in the physical aspect of it. But there's also an element of gratitude when we look at the things and the people that we have. I remember, I don't. My brain gets so full. I don't know if this is a story someone told me or if it's a story I heard. But anyway, nonetheless, this person's mom was sick, and they were in hospital, and they would go and visit them every Friday in visiting hours. And like in work, they'd be like, "What are you up to the weekend?" And they're like, "Well, I've got to go and see my mum on Friday. Got to go and see my mum on Friday every week. Got to go and see my mum on Friday." And then obviously, inevitably, she died. It was that sort of Wednesday, Thursday feeling of what are you up to at the weekend? And that's the first time they caught themselves in the moment, and they were like, oh no, I don't get to go and see my mum because I'm not there anymore. It might feel like a chore to start with. I'm sure when we think about cutting the grass, we go, oh, I've got to go and cut the grass. You mean you get to cut the grass because
Yeah.
there's loads of people living in high-rise blocks that would snap your arm off for a garden.
For that grass to come.
For that grass, for that. But, people moaning about their lawns during COVID, what with that person stuck on the 27th floor of the high rise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
so
It's all
hard. So when we
perspective.
talk about choosing you mentioned a few things there, Warren. Like, so you said about choosing your thoughts. We've spoken about gratitude here.
Mhm.
These still feel like privileges of cognitive capacity. So, like, Lee, when people are stuck in the vortex and they're in that sort of thought cyclone, do you know what I mean, spiraling down, is gratitude and hey, depression's a choice, brother. You know, choose not to. I went to see the Book of Mormon again the other day. Great
Yeah.
show if
Never
no one
seen
hasn't
it.
seen it. Oh, it's hilarious.
I've heard it.
They have a funny thing. They have a song in there called "Turn It Off," where they're talking about their worst like thoughts. One of them thinks he's gay. One of them's and he's like, just turn it off. Just when you've got that thought and you're looking at Steve
Yeah.
in his shower clothes, you know, when Warren gets out the shower and you're thinking, hey, you know, just turn it off. You know, and I'm like, it was obviously said comically,
Yeah.
but it's like, I've tried to do that in the past and go, nah, this is a choice, like focus on the positive, da 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 da. And sometimes it'll land, sometimes it will completely skim off the surface. What have you seen things that have been able to punch through that next sort of layer? Because starting that conversation and finding a way in can sometimes be the most difficult part.
Yeah, it's trying to get through to them, which is the hardest thing that this shall pass.
There's two shell
Yeah,
yeah.
when I was at my lowest, my wife kept telling me that it's not going to last, Lee. It's not going to last.
Nothing lasts.
I couldn't see that though. During that moment, I couldn't see that. All I could see was me spiraling to the people on the streets with alcohol and drug addiction, or the ones on the bridge. That's all I could see was that path to that point. I couldn't see the path to the light. So they're trying to find a way of explaining that to someone is the key. How you do that is the key. This will pass. You will get through this.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to say at the time, and some people do say not to say that to them because they can't see that. But that is the
So
key.
profound though. I like it makes sense.
So finding just lowering that bar of gratitude, lowering that bar of something that's good, right down to something. What is your favorite song? What is your favorite food? What is your favorite drink?
Yeah, reminder because when I was struggling, I didn't feel grateful for anything. I was like, I just don't want to be here.
I think it's just the loneliness.
It's reminding people of without we can remind people of like the blessings we have, and it might hit one day, and hopefully it's like, oh, actually, do you know what? I am grateful. It's really hard. It's a really hard thing. That's why listening.
It's hard if someone's stuck in that mental place. Because I also, to relate it to, I went to a conference and a great speaker who we actually had on the podcast, she did a talk on unseen privilege. And at the beginning of the workshop, we all had to list down on a piece of paper how many unseen privileges we thought we had. Or it was like, I don't think it was in unseen. I don't know how they articulated it, but it was basically how many privileges you don't realize you have. And then they were like, right, who wants to go first? Who thinks they've got the most privileges? And I went, well, I might as well go first because it was predominantly a room full of women, which is fine. Sometimes that actually makes for better conferences because there's a lot more like psychological safety in the rooms when you're having sessions. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, I'll probably go first. I imagine I've got the most. And we listed them off. And there's people in the room that, you know, English wasn't their first language. They weren't born here. Many people were women and not men. Some people had diagnosed neurodivergence and all of this sort of stuff. But things can be true and not useful at the same time. So in the unseen privilege example, saying to me, Pete, you should be grateful you were born a white male. Okay, I agree. I didn't choose it. I didn't earn it. There's nothing to do with me. Where I am right now, living in the UK, it was obviously a slight advantage. Some may argue a tremendous advantage. But to echo that back to the gratitude element, if someone's in that moment to try and reframe something that they should be appreciative for, that maybe they can't fully see and observe, is really, really difficult because then you're really close to getting to the bit where not making people feel guilty like they don't deserve to be depressed
That's a
Yeah.
tough one.
or
Yeah.
in low mood.
Yeah.
That's
Do you know
a
what I
tough
mean?
one.
That's such a that's a moving target, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy when we just pick up on that when we're talking to people. Like I said, I've never had I don't think we have had like a bad experience where someone's left us and they felt worse. No one has, because they tell us that. But I feel like when you're in that mode and you're letting you tap into your empathetic kind of self and you're really listening, you know what to say
Yeah.
because you're a human being. And yeah, so
Mm.
that's what I was saying. Like, it can be learned, like different strategies, but being just a human being, like, and caring is just like, that's you, right? You can't learn to be more caring. You can learn to look like you're more
It can become
caring.
performative.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the problem.
Whereas I
Yeah,
feel like me and
performative
Lee,
empathy.
like I said, because we've never had anyone come away and say that. So I've obviously, you just know not to, what to say, not to trigger them a certain direction. And with no training.
Have you guys considered doing courses on it for people? Do you already do it?
What, counselling courses? Or
I wouldn't term it as that, only because you're starting to step into some
courses for
professional
other
realm.
people?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no, I think they're going along, so we're trained
No, fuck
therapists.
that. You running them yourself.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I just want to listen and help. In the future,
But there's only two of you.
there's only two of us, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a capacity to it. You can't set yourself on fire just to keep
Yeah.
everybody else warm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only two of you. You
Yeah.
can't spread that so thin.
No, that is hard. We're finding that hard now.
Doing everything, yeah.
Doing
Yeah, man.
everything, and yeah, people reaching out and wanting to do stuff, and yeah, we're finding that quite hard. Time.
Time,
Huh?
different watches,
Yeah.
and just doing, you got a normal
Massive,
life,
mate.
you got a family, ain't you?
Yes.
Do you think, just to change gears for a second, is there a proportional split to the genders of people that approach you and or that you
No.
have worked with?
No.
No?
We literally are from 16-year-old boys to 90-year-old women
Yeah.
and everything in between.
All walks of life.
Mm.
Crazy.
Yeah, we were quite surprised by that, weren't we?
Yeah,
Um,
very much so.
I was pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
when I saw it on your socials because
Yeah.
I've looked at
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff
lot of
that you
women come
posted
to
now
us.
when I was doing a bit of prep. Yeah,
I
because
think
I
that's
think
that's the firefighting side of it, though, Pete. I think that's
The uniform.
yeah,
the safety net that we, as our roles in the job. Perhaps women then come
and
to us,
trusted.
yeah, and feel safe. You know, feel protected. Feel we've got an arm around them, even just sat there, and we're not physically, obviously, touching them.
Mm.
That side of things, and also having the males come to us for the way we look. They can open up because we've opened up. So we feel we're ticking every box like that.
Yeah.
I feel like you are, but I think it's a really rare thing because when I have looked at some mental health advice and podcasts and stuff in the past, sometimes I feel like solutions are a bit mismatched of how men specifically process things differently to women because we are very different animals. And it makes me think that a lot of the time we're building things around talking, sharing, and opening up. But right at the beginning of our conversation, we've also obviously dipped into elements of purpose and action. And do they actually fit for how men and women think differently about things? Because men can sometimes maybe lean towards processing things through action. We've spoke about movement, we spoke about problem solving. And that can be a different processing. And again, it's not that any one thing will be the utopian answer. There's all sits in the percentages. Some people will need 80%, conversing and rumination and thinking and reframing. Some will need 60, 70% action or something like that. But I do think it is a very bespoke thing for each person, which is why I struggle when we attempt to serve the masses. And I think that's when organizations are always going to be set up to fail to an extent, because it's the whole, you can please some of the people some of the time and all of the people none of the time. And when you try and turn it into just a PDF,
Yeah.
it's only going to land with a certain percentage, isn't it?
definitely, yeah.
You don't want to get into the gender.
No, never do.
No.
Like men will show us a cut, a broken
Men
leg.
want to fix stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we do when we go up the mountain and we do it in speedo in midwinter,
Oh,
we go to speedos. It was predominantly it's about 20 odd men and 2 women
yeah.
who come, and a lot of the women dropped out.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't,
like being cold, like for a woman, that's like, I don't know, when men, we gotta face hard challenges.
It's not that women don't do hard challenges, but we're just
No,
different.
I'm not saying
We are
that.
built differently.
But
I know you're not. Yeah.
16, oh no, what was it 20,
Yeah.
20 men, 2 women. Obviously, the women didn't have to wear speedos; they can wear bras,
Yeah.
and, a swimsuit.
Whatever they want to wear. Yeah.
But I don't know as many
I
women.
think you're doing it without knowing what you're doing.
you want me
But that's part of my, that's part of my position is I'm trying to pull on these threads to help understand, because I think I think a lot of what you guys do so successfully is because it comes from different places of authenticity as well. And there's an irony to like you're. I remember someone saying like your superpower sits right next to your scar.
Yeah.
So you guys have had differing scars through your nurturing and through your lived experiences.
Yeah.
And you would never wish to give anyone else those experiences. But there's an irony to the fact that your ability to do what you're doing
It's because of that.
rests partially, not wholly, but partially on that. It's not to say that there's not great counselors and stuff out there that have never gone through trauma themselves.
Yeah.
But there is sometimes a common trend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We used to think
and that's difficult.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable, that mindset. But like I think Aldo Kane said, a lot of men will go and do this tough expedition somewhere. They'll go and climb a mountain in the cold. They'll go and swim across the channel. And a lot of that is escaping the hardships of home life. So men tend to do that as a way of them escaping, pretending that's the hardship, but it's not. That's their easy way out from the hardship they're having at home.
It's easier to do that, even though how hard it is, than face.
Yeah, and that's what me and Warren do quite often. We're up against it, but women generally, we're finding, don't tend to do that so much. Some do.
Yeah.
Some do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that can also, again, back to the poisons in the dose. I think some of the lowest times I've had is times of injury, because an effective coping mechanism for me, there's always been, I'm getting the gym and then I train too much and I snap my pec,
Yeah.
or I, tear my patella tendon off,
Didn't you?
or, the amount of stupid shit I've done, because people say, oh, you're really disciplined. It'd be a discipline for me not to train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just an ingrained behavior that is part of my identity. It's who I believe myself to be. I can be relied upon. I'm fit. I'm reliable.
You're dangerous.
I'm loyal.
You've
I'm
got
this.
to
I'm
stay
that. I want my daughter. I always have this thing where, only since she was born, she's 13 now, I imagine my daughter is watching everything I do, like if it was being filmed for a Netflix documentary, or there's
Great
a
way to
secret
live.
camera in the corner of the room. And I'm like, would she be proud of what I'm doing? If she saw me now, and there's many times in my life that I don't think she would have been proud of me at all, because I didn't like myself, whether I was injecting things or doing things I shouldn't have been doing. But I think she would now. And I think about it all the time. But that's only going to work if you've got kids. Do you know what I mean? You can remanifest it into saying, would my parents be proud of me? Again, there's an assumption that you care about the opinion of your parents. You could say it for a spouse or a partner, but all these are just little hacks.
Yeah, but what
Do you know
just
what I
said
mean?
then, Joe Rogan's got one. Have you seen it, Be the Hero of Your Own Movie? And it's
Yeah.
like, if you're watching...
This is the part of the story.
Yeah, I love it, mate.
Yeah.
So if you don't worry about anyone else being proud of you, just do that. Just think, right, what would I want him to do? If I'm watching the film now, would I want him to just carry on and just
what would I
go
be
out?
screaming at the screen right now, saying, do
And
the fuck?
do that.
Because ultimately, it all comes back. Because I did lie to members of my family for years during periods of addiction.
Yeah.
But when you lie down in bed at night and close your eyes, if you're a piece of shit.
Exactly that.
You could have fooled everybody else. You could have
Yeah.
fooled everyone at work. They think
Yeah.
you're this, they think you're that.
Yeah.
You iron your clothes and shine your shoes and you say all the right words and you hit the buzzword bingo. But you know you stole something.
Mm-hmm.
You know you were cruel to that person, not by accident. You knew what you were doing and you did it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Only you lie down with yourself every day.
Uh-huh. That's
No one else.
more powerful. So if we dip into self-worth, we're going to quickly go to the toilet.
Go to the toilet. Let's
Toilet
hit the
break.
pause. Let's hit the pause.
So, Pete, you asked us both earlier about, are we proud of ourselves? Or you might have asked me. I don't know if you did ask
Yeah,
both
both
of us.
did.
I asked you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you proud of yourself and are you happy?
Am I proud
Everyone
of
starts
myself?
off with that,
Yes.
don't they? Yes, yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
I'm very proud of myself
Nice.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's layered on evidence of the person I think I am. So I think any sort of identity or value is actually just built on intentions. So when you say, or when I say, I'm the type of person that listens to people, that does this, that does that, that fights for the underdog, that whatever, that is just an intention, because I'm saying about things I would do in the future if I was faced with a situation. When you make it part of your identity, you can only really do that when you've built it on layers of paint, which are evidence that you are the person that you claim to be.
Yeah.
So when we just took a little break, I shared with you things about my addiction, things about the organization that I work with, things about a final written warning that I had for a period of time. Those are things I'm not proud of. But when I say I'm a resilient person, I have things that I can point at, from addiction to miscarriages to divorce to injuries to professional embarrassment, that help me believe I'm not in love with my own bullshit,
Mhm.
that I am the person I pretend to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's the biggest. Are you living up to in private who you claim to be in public?
Public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Love
big
I
that.
think is the
Love
biggest thing. So my self-worth isn't built on affirmations in the mirror or a mindset or just talking. My self-worth for me is more evidence-based, behavioral-based, which is present and future context,
Uh-huh.
and consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency for me is your pride or self-worth earned or is it assumed? Do you know what I mean? That's probably where I sort of embed my own sort of thinking. Am I happy? Happy is fleeting and difficult to come by for me. I think happiness is like joy or a sneeze or laughter. It's very in the moment.
It can't be constant anyway, can it? Can't be constantly
If you're
happy.
constantly happy, I think that's usually contentment. I would say I'm not content. I would say I have high highs and low lows, but I've managed to narrow that bandwidth.
So it's not so high,
So
and it's not so low.
I don't get not so low,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as a result, I also don't get so high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't experience massive amounts of euphoria or joy. Joy is difficult. Joy is something that has come back into my life since I've been with Hillary, who's my partner now. We laugh a lot. She is absolutely my best friend.
Amazing.
And we are a similar age. So we share a lot of cultural context. We grew up watching similar TV programs. We have a similar sense of humor. It's just a sheer bonus that she is extremely beautiful and that she seems to like me. And I think it is difficult to spend large periods of time with me. I always think I'm a bit like cocaine, which is fun in small doses. You know what I mean? But you wouldn't want to have that shit every day because it's not really going to work. So yeah, that's my long answer to be fair. It is a complex question, but I am proud of myself. I'm proud of myself now.
Do you?
I intend to continue to do actions that will make me proud of my future self.
Yeah, I love that.
You spoke earlier about and I think about it as well. It's almost a superpower when you've been at the lowest bottom. How you've then used that period of your life for taking on the next challenge, things that hit you in everyday life. And you mentioned it. I think Warren's mentioned it. We've had some bad moments in our life, as we all have. But if when you get through them, and you will get through them, looking back at them and using them as a superpower to take on the world, I think's another bit of great advice. And I'll say that to people.
David
as well.
Goggins refers to it as his mental cookie jar.
Yes.
Can you repeat
It's
that?
like when you're going
Goggins.
through something, Goggins calls it his mental cookie jar. So when he's going through something, he can reach into that and go, I've got something in here for this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the worst thing you've ever been through is the worst thing you've ever been through.
Yeah.
If my daughter, one of her friends falls out with her or her phone breaks, that is the worst day of her life.
Yeah.
The fucking sky is falling and, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. But any day I'm not injecting drugs in myself is a pretty great day.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a pretty great day.
Yeah.
But that can fade into the past if you don't. I think of it both in the future and in the past. So in the past, I think of it of the things I've been through. And in the future, I think I'll be dead one day. Quite soon in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So I think that also echoes back to the point of purpose that we made earlier.
Mhm.
Because if you are cognizant of the fact you have a remarkably limited amount of time to get shit done and to make a quote unquote impact, whatever you think that's going to be, how much time have you got? If we say the average male lives to, I think it's 78 in the UK.
Yeah, I think so.
So I've got 32 Christmases left. That's it. If you had 32 tea bags left, you go, let's get some more tea bags. It was less than half a box there. Do you know what I mean?
What are you
If
going
you
to say?
drew
I'm
this
going
on
to
a
really
graph,
enjoy these teas.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
really
going to
going to make
rush
the most of
drinking my
these
tea.
teas. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to rush
If you
it.
do it on a graph, I used to do this with people when I used to coach them. So you get like a piece of squared paper and you put 78 squares on it, or you draw out 78 squares.
Nice.
And then you scribble out your school days. You scribble out the other bit.
It's not much
You
left.
scribble out the last 15 years or 16 years of your life where most people won't be physically capable of doing the things. So if we take that off mine and say, when I'm 60, I may or may not, based on general population, be able to climb that mountain anymore. That means I've only got 22 more years, or I've got 22 winters, or I've got 22 summers. When I said I wanted to go and climb that mountain in the summer, I've only got 22 more times to do that. And that can both be paralyzing from a morbidity perspective, or it can be empowering. It's the same fuel.
Yeah.
Just depends if you're going to use that fuel to cook, or you're going to use that fuel to burn your house down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it depends. I think that is something, when we talk about our unseen privilege earlier, we don't necessarily think about how lucky I am to have had some of the mindset from my dad in how I go about stuff.
Yeah.
That's what makes it more
everything
difficult.
is perspective. Like we can look at anything,
Always.
like so many different angles, and that's what we were saying earlier about it's a privilege to suffer. It's a privilege to, do these things. So perspective is like massive, but shifting somebody's perspective, isn't.
It's also, I've heard it termed as position versus disposition.
Yeah.
So your position is where you are. You can't change that right now because I'm sat right here. I couldn't literally click my fingers and be in Egypt. But my disposition is how I feel about where I am. And I can change my disposition. Position will change long term, but in order for position to change long term, I need to change my disposition in the short term. So how I feel about where I am, i.e. my perspective, is literally all that matters. Literally all that matters. Because people say, oh, I'm kind of a thinking in the moment kind of person. Well, all thinking is thinking in the moment. Or, if they say I'm more of a future thinker, there is no such thing as future thinking. There's only thinking in the moment. Thinking backwards is just remembering.
Yeah.
So we're all just thinking in the moment.
Yeah.
So it is all based on your perception and your disposition. That's it.
Everything.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Everything. From every second to the next.
Yeah. And you were saying,
But yeah.
you were saying a minute ago, it was So before doing the job, I was sofa surfing, £12 in the bank. And this isn't some like motivational kind of like Instagram reel I want to make, but I knew it was all going to work out. And you said about affirmations earlier in the mirror. Like I am a firefighter 2022 written on a post-it note on my computer while I was sofa surfing. And I looked at it every day. I obviously had applied and I just kept looking at it. And it was the 5th time of getting in, I got in. And I just always knew, like, I wasn't down. I was like, well, again, with gratitude, I was just grateful my mate is letting me use his sofa to surf on. It's like, rather than like, oh my God, I'm a failure, I'm this and that, it was like, I've got somewhere to stay. And that was kind
Winning.
and it's just, again.
Winning doesn't always look like winning in the moment. That's the problem.
No, of course it doesn't.
It's finding the sweet spot again, because the poison's in the dose. Affirmations and inspirations. I've got one there. Today I'll be the best version of me. And I've got another one above this screen behind it. You can't see that says, what would this look like if I didn't think so small? So like the podcast and everything else, or the pink firefighters and breast cancer now and whatever. I'm like, what would this look like if I wasn't thinking so small? But affirmations, inspirational quotes, whatever your thing is, it only works. It doesn't work if you've got uphill hopes and downhill habits. So you sitting on the sofa going, I'm going to be a firefighter in 2022 is an uphill hope, but you haven't even fucking applied.
You need to meet it with action.
You need to,
or intention.
it's the old joke around when God is, there's a priest walking down a country lane and he comes past a house and the house has got a beautiful garden and the guy's outside tending to the garden and he says, sir, you are blessed. The Lord has given you a beautiful garden. And he says, well, I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. You should have seen what it was like when the Lord had it all to himself. You know what I mean? Because people can give you opportunity, they can give you time, they can give you a sofa to sleep on, but you have to do the work. At some point, you have got to get involved. You've got to at least have one hand on the steering wheel of your own goddamn life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be
You know what I
disciplined.
mean?
Yeah. Got to be disciplined
You've got to be disciplined.
in your mental and physical, your health.
So it's helping people get to those moments. I want to be super respectful of our time. I know we could speak for fucking hours, and we will definitely. I'd love to do one in person.
Okay.
And I'd love to get some time together in the future. But I think what you guys doing is absolutely incredible. For anyone that's not familiar with it, and I know I've done a terrible job of actually zooming us back in, but this isn't a performative sort of constant sales pitch or anything like that. But if people want to go and find out a bit more, it's Freedom in the Fire. You can find it on socials. If they check the notes underneath here, there will be a link straight to Freedom in the Fire, and we'll give some embeddable links and stuff, and you guys can share this episode or wherever for people to come and find some more. Is there anything in the pipeline? Is there anything that would be good? Where can people find you? Where can people see you? Where can people connect?
Just a quick one. Freedom.inthefire is the Instagram hashtag.
It'll be in the link.
It'll be in
literally the first thing underneath here, it will say find them here, and you click that link and I'll make sure it's the right one, because you guys are going to send it to me, but we got it anyway.
What we got in the pipeline, Ralphie?
Well, the main thing is, like, just give us a message on there if you want to chat, talk. We're always there. Give us a message on there, anything mental health related, and we'll get in contact. We're often taking the log out, carry the burden of mental health. We carry that around most months somewhere. You can catch us on that. That'll be on our socials where we're doing that.
You need to book another one in. We go to schools.
Yeah, we're
say that?
We sit with the sign. Come and talk to us about mental health. In Bath Shopping Centre. Once a month, so put that on there.
Incredible. Fellas, I love it. I really, really appreciate you. I think what you're doing is incredible. If anyone wants to go find out more, have a look underneath. But Warren, Lee, thank you for the couple of hours and for the half an hour before this where we couldn't solve the IT challenges that no one will know about because we'll never mention it anyway.
I'm always okay,
but I love you boys.
Yeah, mate, thanks for having us on, and you're doing great work. It's nice to listen.
I love you guys.
Great work.
I'll catch up with you.